Hey, look, if you love to hate on the Cowboys, plenty of people do. It's fun. It's not hard either, is it? This is for you. If you like to love the Cowboys, then, yeah, it's for you as well. You can take this any way you want. You know, it's thrown around a lot. I guess it's an interesting debate. I'm going to pour water on it, though. I'm going to say this has really kind of become an age thing. The term America's team. The term America's team goes back to when, if you want to say it, depending on how you want to measure the Cowboys, the most valuable franchise on the planet, true. Is it really the most relevant, I said it, relevant franchise? That has to factor in everything. Then I'm going to say it's not true. But the term America's team goes back decades ago when Tom Landry was coaching, and they matter. They're in the playoffs regularly. They're run by a former public relations executive, Tex Schramm. It's floated the term, and it caught on. And it made some sense, and it worked pretty well, and it did a nice job of making fans and haters at the same time. And all that stuff was relevant, but their relevance was a long time ago. And I know in my business, my space, we love to talk about them because they're, again, in our lifetime, depending on how old you are, they mattered. But I think we got a disconnect here. I see if you agree with me. So the term, do you really even hear it that much? Honestly, do you really hear America's team that much? You don't hear from them. I don't even think, even though we have no idea what he talks about or what he even says, because he's nonsensical. I don't think Jerry Jones even says it that often. I'm not sure you even hear the term America's team that much. Not enough to be bent out of shape about it. So if you say America's team to a 20-year-old, it means nothing. It means nothing. They probably wouldn't even say the Cowboys. So I think we've got an age thing here. America's team title for the Cowboys, I think, is now to this day and age pretty silly, but they're still popular. It's still a draw, mainly because in my space, we knew them when they were good, and then we knew them were bad, and Jerry Jones makes them easy to trash. So they're very popular in my space, the talk show space, because we're older, right? So follow this. The term America's team is still being debated. Does it work still? And if so, how do you frame that? Like, how do you even tell if somebody says, a 20-year-old says, why do you say that? Dad, granddad, mom, whatever. Why do you even say that? How would you explain that to someone? Because I think it's a generational thing. Here goes. I have no idea what the reason is, but I found it interesting because I do think this really is an age thing. Here goes Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports on the popularity or lack of popularity of the Cowboys.
Taylor Swift could have dated anybody. You really think it was going to be somebody on the Jags? It was Travis Kelce, number 2 player on the number 1 team in the world. But has anybody else noticed in the last several years that in Dallas, where they sell out high school football games, where they have the number 1 college football team in the country, the biggest football brand, the Dallas Cowboys, you're seeing 25% of that stadium filled with Saints fans and Packer fans and Lions fans. Dallas has not won multiple playoff games in a single year in 29 years. In fact, the last time the Cowboys won more than a single playoff game, Murphy Brown was the number 1 TV show, and Hootie and the Blowfish, the number 1 band. At some point, you can't keep telling me this is America's team. And what's amazing is they've done this. They've regressed with Dak and Tony Romo.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's my point. Okay. Nobody below the age of, 40, even though they've ever heard of Murphy Brown. And sure the heck, I would hope, hasn't heard of Hootie and the Blowfish. So, I mean, there's a term I like to use in teaching a class, and I call it breathing your own exhaust fumes. It's always assuming everybody sees everything like you do. Breathing your own exhaust fumes in a business term would mean you think you're the market. And it's a common problem in business. It's a common problem everywhere. But you just assume you're the market. Everyone sees the things you do. Everyone consumes media and products and services the way you do. It's this very selfish, myopic way of looking at the marketplace. And I think we're pretty much guilty of the same thing with the Cowboys. I don't think a 20-year-old who doesn't know Murphy Brown, who doesn't know Hootie and the Blowfish, really gives a flip about the Dallas Cowboys for pretty good reason. They haven't mattered in their lifetime. For the rest of us, they used to matter. And they mattered so much that it's really easy to rail on them now. And I don't have a problem with that. But to say they're still not popular, which I think sets up a weird scenario. Because I'm going to see how you answer this. Okay? The most watched regular season NFL game of 2024. It was the Cowboys who have not sniffed the playoffs. Who have not sniffed a championship game since Murphy Brown, I guess. I don't even know when that was. It was Dallas against the New York Giants on Thanksgiving Day. It's 38 million. Now, Thanksgiving Day, to be fair, I believe Detroit had a big number too. So, people are going to watch NFL on the holidays no matter what. We're going to watch it on Christmas. We're going to watch it on Thanksgiving. So how much is that really about the Cowboys? I don't know. I don't think much. You stick anything in the NFL on Thanksgiving Day and everyone's going to watch. The brand is just that big. So I think that's slightly misunderstood. I think we are simplifying this too much. At the same time, I looked it up, they are the most followed team in all of social media. They're one with something like 19 million followers, and the Patriots are number 2. Again, I think that's because it's an age thing. I don't think 20-year-old dudes are following either one of them. But they had 38 million viewers. The 2 worst teams in their own division, who were out of contention by the day they played that game, by Thanksgiving Day. The other game, regular season game that had the biggest number, was also on Thanksgiving Day. That was Kansas City and Houston. So that answers some of that. Thanksgiving Day games matter. But Dallas is slipping quickly, and I don't even hear, let's be fair, I don't even hear people trying to say America's team anymore. I really haven't heard that except from a few talk show hosts complaining about them. Here's the thing about Dallas. Okay? If you're in my business, they're newsworthy, constantly newsworthy, because they're easy. They're polarizing. Okay, got it? The talk show business is very polarizing. It's set up to be polarizing, which isn't a bad thing. It's constantly going to revolve around polarizing teams. The Chiefs are the biggest stars in the sports, of the biggest sports there is. The Chiefs have the biggest stars, no doubt about it. I agree with him on that. But the Cowboys and the talk show business are easily the most polarizing. Again, that's with a bunch of 40 and above. Take it to 25 and below, and they're never even mentioned. Because we grew up with them mattering. We grew up with the Cowboys having stars. You know what? They don't have stars now. Tell me the stars of the Dallas Cowboys. Now I think you're going to make a mistake, because we are in the state of Texas. But by NFL standards, Dak Prescott's not a mega star. He's not. CeeDee Lamb's not a mega star. Micah Parsons might be, but still he's not. The Cowboys don't have any stars, ready for it, on the field. The biggest star is off the field. That's why he's why they're polarizing. It doesn't add up. There's so many stars around the league, right? The biggest star for Dallas is their drooling owner. That's the biggest star. Tell me I'm wrong. They're not America's team, but I think they're the most popular talk show chum. 1, because of him, and maybe mostly because of him, but number 2, because talk show hosts and talk show followers are going to be older. You're not watching the neck-bearded YouTube shows. So we've grown up with Dallas being relevant. We've grown up with Dallas being hugely popular. we've also lived in a time where Dallas is polarizing because their owner is polarizing, and he makes it easy on us. So, but he's the biggest star. He's the draw. I mean, if you ask anybody about Dallas, the first thing they're going to mention is Jerry Jones. And that's polarizing. And he's almost always polarizing. He's the Trump of owners. He's the Trump of sports. He's going to say and do plenty of stupid things that make it easy to rail on him. And that's where we end up. But are they... I don't buy it. I don't hear it. I never hear any of you make the comment. I never see anybody really tweet it. I don't hear this America's team thing anymore. If you sort of dig it out of a pile, the term, I can see how you would say, yeah, that's weird. I grew up when Dallas mattered. A lot. A lot. Through your formative years, they were one of the, along with the Steelers and the 49ers, probably the most meaningful franchises, in football for sure, and all of sports probably for most of us growing up. And they didn't leave relevance, right? They mattered from the 70s through the 80s, certainly to the 90s. And they flat out disappeared. And the only reason why they don't disappear now is because we, the talk show hosts, mention them. And Jerry Jones is easy to dislike, and he's easy to make fun of, and he makes the Cowboys easy to make fun of. I guess what I'm saying is their only relevance, and I'm sorry if you're a face painter, I really am, but their only relevance now is just trashing them in the talk show space. That's it. I mean, there's not anyone thinking right now. And I'm usually arguing that Dallas is a little bit better than most of you think, but there's no one arguing right now they finished in the top 2 of their division. Not even close. In fact, the battle for Dallas is not to be dead last. And they have a really good quarterback. They have a really good wide receiver. They have a great field goal kicker. They have a no-name coach, a no-name defense, and the only name that's there is some weird, drooling old man that runs them. He's their star. And he's easy to make fun of. So no, I disagree with Cowherd that it's not worth getting worked up over. But if you're going to try to pick it apart and make the argument they're America's team, he's right in this regard. They don't really have stars anymore, and there is no hope. I really thought at one time, Jerry Jones was going to try to hire Bill Belichick. I thought he would be near the end enough to make that call, and that would have made them even more relevant, particularly with those of us that are older. But I'm sorry, it's not America's team. Nobody even really says it. I don't think people really believe it. And they don't have stars. When you just walk up to somebody and say, name the biggest names in football are, go. And a Cowboys player is not going to be in the top 15. I'm not sure a Cowboys player, if we just said name by star power alone, a Cowboys player would make the top 15. But if you say the Dallas Cowboys, I'll bet you most people say, oh my gosh, that goofball Jerry Jones.